Hey everybody, what's up? Tim here with this week's SCE. Hope wherever you're at, you are doing phenomenal and crushing it. And thanks so much for watching. Title for today is Killing Off Fear, Being Non-Reactive. And we're in the middle of the series of posts on fear and talking about how fear is destructive, it's the enemy, and that fear is the exact opposite of faith. Fear actually is the belief in a negative manifestation. It's the belief in something bad happening, whereas faith or belief is the expectation of something good happening. And both of them are energies. One is just going in a positive direction and the other is going in a negative direction. And wherever you put your time and your energy is what you're going to see show up, because where your focus goes, your energy flows. And we talked about last week the number one way to kill off fear is through taking action. So the question then becomes, what kind of actions can we take in order to kill off fear? So last week we talked about taking the giant-sized pieces of things and breaking them down into small mini bites and being able to create micro goals and gaining momentum from that. And by attacking fear and stepping into it, not backing away from it and getting after it, little by little you're able to conquer it. Today we're going to talk about another action you can take, and this actually is an inaction, but by going through a step of inaction, you actually are taking action against fear. And here's the deal. We need to be non-reactive. So many times when things come up, whether they are challenges or difficulties or obstacles, or we get some bad news or a certain occurrence or a certain event happens, we immediately react, and we react in a negative capacity. We get excited, we get anxious, and we ultimately get fearful. And that underlying fear, that underlying anxiety causes us to become uncentered. It pulls us off of our confidence. It pulls us off of our congruency. And because of that, we get shaken and we begin to take action and we begin to say words and we begin to think thoughts that are all fear-based and not faith-based or not courage-based. And by taking action in this sense, we are not going to take any action. So when that bad news hits, and when that challenge hits, or when that obstacle comes into play, what is your first reaction? Because that first reaction is critical. The very first words that you say, the very first thoughts that you allow yourself to think, the very first actions that you take are going to set the stage for how you attack this adversity, how you handle this difficulty. And if you allow those fear-based thoughts to grab hold, and you start to practice them, and you allow them to take root, and you allow the fear-based pictures to take root, or the worry-based pictures to take root, they're going to start to breed. And just like cancer, they're going to multiply until they consume your thinking. And when that happens, they consume your actions, and your actions are going to manifest the result. Because once you take actions based on fear, you are now moving in the direction of fear. So when that bad news hits, or when there's something you're worried about, your very first tendency should not be to act or to think based on emotion. Your emotions are designed to help you, not control you. But so many times we let our emotions control us. And the fact of the matter is we can control our emotions. So those first things you allow yourself to feel and you allow yourself to think and you begin to practice are critical. And we need to be disciplined. We need to not react. Think about the people who are in the high-stress job, police officers, the military, first responders, firemen, ambulance personnel. They're designed to stay cool under pressure, so it doesn't matter what they run into or what they encounter. They can't afford to go flying off the handle and say, oh my gosh, we're all doomed, we're going to be destroyed. They need to maintain their cool, because when they maintain their cool and they stay in that peaceful and relaxed state, their actions are going to be congruent and the results are going to be congruent with what they want. It's going to take them to what they want. But if they allow themselves to become uncentered, if they allow themselves to become shattered, if they allow themselves to become consumed by the fear, then that's where they're going to go as well. Think about an airplane pilot. When they run into an emergency, they need to be cool and collect. They can't allow their emotions to take over. That's why they train for thousands and thousands of hours to be able to discipline themselves to act under pressure. Think about the special forces, the SEALs, the Green Beret, the Army Rangers, the Force Recon, the parajumpers, any of the special forces practice day in and day out to be able to manage those fear emotions and those fear thoughts, to not let them control them. So one of the best things you can do when you're confronted with something that is driving anxiety or worry or fear is to not react at all. Take a couple minutes and center yourself. Get peaceful and calm. Bring yourself back to your base state, and by not reacting, you are gaining control over those emotions. But if you continue to practice those emotions, if you continue yourself just to be driven by bad news or by people or by opinions, and you practice that time and time and again, that's going to be your default response, and you are going to practice that when it really matters, and that's not going to take you where you want to go. So in action, taking time to center yourself, taking time to get peaceful, to become congruent, to return yourself to your natural state is important. You've got to resist the tendency to let your emotions run away with you. You've got to resist the tendency to let your thoughts run away with you. So in this case, taking action against fear is actually not acting. Allowing those emotions to pass, those thoughts to pass, recognizing they're not yours, gaining control of your emotions and your thoughts, and then thinking and feeling and acting based on where you want to go, not where you want to go, and realizing you're in control, not the circumstances. So take enough time to be inactive, to take no action until you get centered, and then take the action that's from that peaceful state, and I guarantee you, you'll get what you want. So this is Tim with today's SCE. The action we're going to take against fear this week is to be non-reactive and to be inactive until we get centered, and then we'll take action that will help us and not hurt us. Thanks so much for watching. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon.